Hello, Pankhurst, and welcome to your first science lesson this week. So, today is Tuesday, the 26th of January 2021, and our learning objective today is Can I begin to plan an investigation? So, we are doing magnets this term. And if we were in school, we would have obviously done loads of investigations for magnets. But unfortunately, because we are at home, we'll be finding different ways on how to investigate. But for today, we will just begin to plan out our investigation. So, this lesson is about learning how to work scientifically and plan an experiment, which I will carry out for you in the next lesson. Recently, I heard Miss Gossage say that all metals are magnetic. I wasn't quite sure if that was correct. This is why I thought let's plan and carry out an investigation to check whether this hypothesis is correct. And a hypothesis is a theory. So it means it is something that someone states is correct or what they think is correct. Okay. Now, I want you to just talk to your teddy or talk to your adult and discuss what you think working scientifically means. Put your thinking cap on and pause the screen and discuss this with someone. Okay, so working scientifically means using the processes of science. So in science, you do a lot of questioning, you do a lot of experimenting, you do a lot of reasoning, then you find out the evidences, and then you analyze the data. So these are all the things that happen in science to find out the truth about something or to find out what something does. Now I want you to discuss, why do we need to make a plan when we are doing a scientific experiment? Okay, talk to your teddy or discuss with your adult and then come back to the screen when you're ready. So, we need to do a plan because it tells you the process of the investigation. So, it tells you how the investigation happens and what you're trying to find out, why you are doing it, what you want to find out, and what you need to do this investigation. So, why do we need to work systematically when we are doing investigation? So if you just rewind back to last week, do you remember in maths we were learning about doing things systematically, so in a correct order, or we were learning about doing stuff in the correct and easier, efficient way to find something out? Why do you think we need to do that here as well? So systematic means a fixed plan or a fixed system. Why do you think we need to do this? Okay. The reason we need to work systematically is to reduce the amount of problems which may happen. If there is a system, you will get better results efficiently. So if you don't have a systematic way, you're going to get all these problems. So say, for example, I want to find out if all metals are magnetic. I need to find it in a very systematic way to do it, because if I don't do it with a plan or do it in proper way, so many things can go wrong, which means I will never be able to find out my answer. And if I do find out my answer, it might not be correct because I didn't do it properly. So, what do you think these words mean? I would like you to pause the screen in a second, and I want you to discuss with your adult what you think aim, prediction, method, resources, variable, fair test, results, conclusion, and evaluation mean. Pause the screen and discuss that with your adult now. Okay, we will do this as my turn, then your turn. Okay, aim, aim. Fantastic. So, an aim is what you are trying to find out. So, what is your investigation for? What are you trying to find out? Okay, prediction, prediction. Prediction means, what do you think will happen? Do you think what you're trying to find out is correct, or do you think it's incorrect, and why do you think that? Okay. Method. Method. So method means how you will carry out the investigation. So what's your process going to be? How are you going to do it? Yeah. Resources. Resources. So resources are the equipment you are going to use to carry out your investigation. Variable. Variable. So a variable is something that can be changed. So for example, if you are carrying out investigation to see if all metals are magnetic, your variables will be your metals. So you will have different types of metals, and those are the items that have changed. Okay, fair test. Fair test. This is something that stays the same, stays consistent to make it fair. So in our case, our magnet is going to stay the same. Okay, results. Results. So results are what did you observe and what did you see happen, and you note it down, okay, on a chart or something. Conclusion. Conclusion. So a conclusion is what did you find out? So what did you find out happened? So this is where you conclude your results, okay? Results is where you record what happened, and conclusion is what did you find out? Evaluation. Evaluation. So evaluation is, was it a fair test? You discuss, was it a fair test? What went well or not so well? And what could you investigate next? Okay, now here is some information about the investigation I'm going to carry out. Okay, now the reason I'm carrying out this investigation is to prove to Miss Gossage that she was wrong when she said all metals are magnetic. This is because I think all metals aren't. For this investigation, I will be using 5 types of metals. I am going to be using steel, okay? I'm going to be either be using paper clips or staples. It depends what I have at home, okay? I am going to be using aluminium, which is a Coke can or any sort of can. I'm going to use any sort of can. It might be a tomato can or whatever can I have at home. I'm going to use nickel, so I'm going to be using my keys. I'm going to be using copper, so I'm going to be using a 1p or 2p coin, because remember, there's 2 types of copper coins, so 1p or 2p coin, and I'm going to be using iron, so I'm going to be using some tools from my husband's shed. Now, my investigation will be fair because the metal sizes and the magnet will be the same. So I'm going to be using the same magnet, and all the metal sizes that I'm going to weigh them beforehand to make sure that they're the same size. So there's nothing that is unfair. However, the changed variable will be the type of metal. So if you can see, I have 5 types of metals that I'm going to use, and I am going to check them with the same thing, which will be the magnet and the metal size. I will carry out this investigation by holding the magnet near the object or the metal to see if it attracts. Okay, so I'm going to be getting my magnet. So if you can see in this picture over here, I'm using my magnet to see if the can will attract. So now that we have gone through each step of an investigation and looked at how I will carry it out, our task is to plan the experiment. On the next slide, I will show you what our experiment sheets will look like. There are 2 pages. However, today we will only be focusing on the first page. So this is what our sheet looks like. Okay, so you have the aim of the investigation, then you have the prediction of what you predict will happen, then you have the method, and in the method you're going to write how you are going to carry out the experiment. So the variables which you will keep the same are the magnet and the metal sizes, and the only variable I will change is the type of metal. over here, you're going to basically draw a picture of a magnet and a can, and then you're going to write down how we're going to do it. But don't worry, I will go over these steps with you. So this is what the first sheet looks like, which you're going to be filling out today. Then this is the second part of the worksheet, which you'll be filling out in your next lesson. So over here, you have your results, then your conclusion and evaluation. So today you will only be completing the first page. Make sure you underline your heading and subheadings. But what I'm going to do is I am going to do this with you. So I am going to model it to you. Okay, so I'm going to show you on my book how I want you to lay it out, and then you're going to copy what I do by pausing it after each section. Okay, so now if you just get your paper and you pause the video and get your paper and your pen ready, okay, and a ruler. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is write the title of your investigation. So you're going to write working, remember in your best handwriting, working scientifically. Okay, and you're going to get your ruler and you're going to underline. Remember I said you underline right on the blue line, and make sure it's a straight right line. Okay, now if you just bear with me a second. So if you just look at that, the way I've done it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to go back to my other screen and I am going to show you that the first thing we're going to write is this top bit, which is the aim of the investigation. So now what I would like you to do is, can you miss 2 lines and write aim, aim, okay, like that. And then you get your ruler and you underline your subheading. Okay, so if you pause the screen now and write that down for me, and then come back when you are ready. So if I go back to my investigation, I have written some information. And I have said the reason I'm carrying out this investigation is to prove to Miss Gossage that she was wrong when she said all metals are magnetic. So my aim is to find out whether all metals are magnetic or unmagnetic. Okay, so now I'm going to write down my aim for this investigation is my aim for this investigation is to find out, yeah, if all metals are magnetic, full stop. Okay, so now we're going to go back, and the next part to our sheet is prediction. So if you write down, miss 2 lines and write down prediction, get a ruler and underline your subheading, and then when you are ready, come back to my screen. Okay, fantastic. So a prediction is what you think will happen. So, what do you think will happen? What is your prediction? Everyone's prediction is different. You may think that all metals do attract. You may think all metals are magnetic. You may think only some metals are magnetic. Okay, now I am going to write, I predict, this is my prediction, but everyone's is going to be different. I predict that not all metals are magnetic. Yeah. So if you pause the screen and write down what your prediction is. Okay, great. Now, the next part to our worksheet is method. So a method is how are you going to carry out the experiment? Okay, you're going to write down the variables I will keep the same are. The only variables I will change are. Okay, so now if you look at how I am going to write it down. So I'm going to miss 2 lines again, and I'm going to write my subheading, which says method, and then I am going to underline it. Okay, if you can write that down for me. So now I am going to write down the variables I will keep the same are. Do you remember what we're going to keep the same? Remember I said there were 2 things we're going to keep the same. Fantastic. I'm going to do the bullet point and I'm going to write down the magnet. Yeah. So that is one variable I'm keeping the same, and the weight of the metal. So those are the 2 things that I am going to keep the same. Then I'm going to write down which variable I am changing. Okay, so I'm going to write down the variable. Oh, I read that wrong. The variable I will change is. Then I'm going to bullet point. And what do you remember? What do you remember from the information I gave you? What variable am I changing? Fantastic. I am changing the metal type. Okay, so the type of metal. Fantastic. So now that that part of the method is done, I want to draw just an example of what it might look like. So if you can get your ruler and draw a box, yeah, make sure it's a square, 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, yeah. So remember I showed you yesterday for your PSHE lesson how I like you to draw it. If you just draw a nice little box, and inside that box, all you need to draw is your metal, your magnet, and a piece of metal. So I might draw my key. Okay, if you can pause the screen and do that section for me. Okay, that is what it should look like. Pause the screen and do that section for me, and then come back to my screen when you are ready. Okay, now I'm going to write down the method. Does anyone remember how I said I'm going to carry out this investigation? If you don't, it's okay. I will show you again. So now, the way I am going to carry out this investigation is by doing the following. So I said, I will carry out this investigation by holding the magnet near the metal to see if it attracts or repels. Okay, so now in my method section, I am going to write Mrs. Mirza will hold the magnet next to the metal object to see whether it attracts or repels. Okay, and that's it. That's your method done. Okay, fantastic. Now, once you have completed that, can you please come back to my screen, because I just want to do one more thing with you just to prepare you for your lesson tomorrow. Okay, once you have done that, please come back to my screen. Now, just to prepare you for your lesson, I want you to draw out the results table, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, I know over here it shows you the lines and then the results table, but we don't need these lines just yet. Okay, we are going to draw the results table now. So I'm going to show you how. Okay, now on your piece of paper, yeah, you may have some space on the other side, you may not, but actually I want you to use the other side of your paper. I need you to write down results. This is only to prepare you for tomorrow, so there's less to do. And then I want you to underline results. Okay, now we know we have 5 types of metal. Okay, and basically 5 types of metal, 5 objects. And then we know we are going to be checking if it's magnetic or not magnetic. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to draw 6 lines down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Then if you can draw 15 centimeters line that way, and then I need 3 columns. So you're going to make sure that there are 5 centimeters per each column. Okay. Okay. Now, I need you to make sure your table looks like that. Obviously, yours will look a lot neater. I've just ruined mine. You're going to write object, then you're going to write magnetic, and then you're going to write non-magnetic. Okay, and tomorrow we will fill this in. So remember, your boxes down, you need to have them 6 lines down. The top line will have your headings, okay, and your rectangle should be 15 centimeters that way and 6 lines down, and your columns should be 5 centimeters apart. And make sure you leave 5 boxes empty for us to write our objects down tomorrow. Okay, now once you have completed your plan, can you please keep it aside, because tomorrow you'll be watching me do the investigation and then be writing your results and finishing the rest of your plan. So please do not upload this to Tapestry yet. Make sure you upload it to Tapestry tomorrow after you have completed your whole science investigation plan. Okay, well done, Pankhurst. I'll see you in your science lesson tomorrow.